Shalom WJC family. It's time for our weekly Torah Talk. This week in Shul, we will be reading Parshat Emor as we continue with the rules involved in the sacrificial cult and the priesthood in the tabernacle and then in the desert. In the middle of this parsha, we get a throwback to something we were speaking about in chapter 7 about the thanks offering. So an offering of thanks was an offering you would bring when you had survived some kind of danger or come through something that was harrowing. A little bit like benching gomel today, the prayer we say when we come for an aliyah to the Torah, when we do the blessings on the Torah, if we have been through a life-threatening experience or a harrowing experience. But here, Leviticus comes back to it in chapter 22, verse 29, when it says, when you sacrifice a thanksgiving offering, make sure it's good stuff, it's acceptable to God, and then, Bayom hahu yeachel lo totiru mimenu ad boker. You should eat the whole thing that day, don't leave any for the morning. That's sort of the additional piece of information. Now, this is considered by the rabbis to be the most important offering, right? The Todah offering, the Thanksgiving offering, so much so that we have a passage in our everyday morning prayers that is the psalm that they said when they would make this Thanksgiving offering. We still say every day on regular weekdays. It's towards the beginning of the service, very early on, so you may miss it if you don't get there quite on time. But it starts off, Mizmor Letoda, a psalm of praise, Hariu Adonai, Kol Haaretz, acclaim Adonai throughout the land. Ivdu et Adonai besimcha, serve God in joy. Bo'u lefanav birnana, come before God with gladness and song. De'u ki Adonai hu Elohim, know that the Lord is God. Hu asanu velo anachnu amo v'tzon marito. God fashioned us. We are God's people, the flock that God tends. So this is how it goes on and says, extol Adonai, this is the end, and praise God's name, right? But Todah, for Adonai is good, God's love is eternal, God's faithfulness endures for all generations. And it's that ending that I want to focus on. God's love is eternal, God's faithfulness endures for all generations. So what we need to answer is, why is this sacrifice so important? In fact, so important that the Midrash says, and this is a wonderful commentary on the Siddur by Rabbi Reuven Hammer, or Chadash, and in talking about this passage that we say in the Tefillah, he brings a Midrash from Leviticus Rabbah, a rabbinic story about, or teaching about our verse. It says, in the future, all sacrifices will be abolished, right? We won't have to give sacrifices to God in the time to come, in the Messianic age, but we'll still give the Thanksgiving sacrifice, the Todah sacrifice. That will not be abolished. In the future, all the prayers will be abolished, but the prayer of thanksgiving, this one that we recite every morning, will not be abolished. So what's so special about the Todah that it still is going to exist even in the Messianic times, right? Most of our sacrifices are to show God that, we recognize God as part of our life, or from guilt or sin, or for the holidays, and all those things will be gone when the Messianic age comes, and we feel God's presence with us all the time. But the Mizmor Letodah, the sacrifice or the prayers of gratitude, those we still have to give. And part of the key to understanding this is in our Parsha, and is in the song that we say. Because gratitude, in fact, is a lifestyle choice. It's not simply giving thanks, right? It is a stance. Right? One of the big mistakes people make about understanding gratitude is we think that something good has to happen to us and then we'll give thanks, and that's gratitude. No, that's just politeness. Gratitude is when we go out of our way to find the things for which we should be thankful, even little things, and point them out and raise them up so that we go through life recognizing how much good there is. And that's what this Todah sacrifice is about. It's about remembering that God's care for us is eternal. It's the belief that God's love for us is eternal, that God's faithfulness endures forever, right? It's the ultimate act of faith, that we will always have things to be grateful for, even in terrible times, even in hard times, that there is what to be grateful for. We have to look for it and point it out to ourselves and the world so that we can be in that space of joy and gratitude. And that's why our verse from the Torah portion says that we need to eat the entire thing before the next day. Ye'echel lo totiru mimenu, right? You're going to eat it all. None will remain for you. Why? Because that is an ultimate sign of faith, right? This is like, you know how at the Seder, which we just had a few weeks ago, we broke the middle matzah, and we put part of it away at the afikomen, saving it for later. Part of that ritual of the afikomen is that's what it is to live in poverty. That's what it is to be a slave. You know there's not enough to go around, and so you break off and you take the bigger half of everything and you save it for later because you just don't trust, you just don't know where your next meal is going to come from. It's the opposite with the Todah offering, with this offering of gratitude. That you eat up all the way because you believe that God will provide for you later, that you recognize the good things that God is doing for us in the world all of the time. And with that attitude of gratitude, we are able to move forward positively and with joy. That ultimately is what makes the Todah sacrifice so important, that we'll still do it even in Messianic times. Because the truth is, look, we know people. We know people who the Messiah will come, everything will be easy in the world, and they'll still find things to kvetch about. They'll still find things to complain about, right? Because that also is an attitude. That also is an approach to the world, right? This is saying that even in Messianic days, even when peace reigns and everything is good, halavai, it should come speedily in our days, we need to still practice gratitude. And that is what it is. It's a practice. Seeking out the things for which we are grateful. Keeping a gratitude journal. Reciting blessings in the morning that remind us to be thankful for the little things like waking up and getting out of bed, like the Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings that we find in the Siddur, or blessings that simply come from our heart to remind us that, standing up and not feeling pain is a gift. Not everyone has it. Being able to get out of bed is a gift. Not everyone has it. Being able to see when we open our eyes is a gift that not everybody has, and so on and so forth. So to be grateful for the things that we do have, that, and to help others who may not be as privileged or as fortunate, that all of those are signs of Todah. And that attitude of gratitude, that is the backbone of what it is to be Jewish, right? That's why we have so many prayers, so many blessings, so many practices. And it's why that even in the end of days, as we learn from Leviticus Rabbah, we will still be practicing gratitude, because that is what it means to practice positivity and to find joy in our life, to take control of the joy in our life, to make sure it's there. And so I pray, especially in a time when the world seems upside down, when there's a lot to be anxious about, when there is a lot to be sad about and angry about, and so much negativity in the world, that we can shift our view to that which is positive, be grateful for all those joyful, positive things around us, and through that, be able to move forward and bring more of that positivity into the joy into the world for those we love, for our community, and ultimately for the world, to do that kind of tikkun. That's what it is to be part of the Jewish people. May we all fulfill that mission, and I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.